We've had bit of feedback, bit of fan mail again. Wonderful. So a lot of people had a problem with Brexit. We were described last week as defeatists, probably funded by the EU. Todd Frame said, "Oh dear, more Remainer rubbish." Life of TikToks says Brexit is political, it's not economical. Brexit came from the people, not the establishment. He's saying how important fishing is and that the Conservative Party won't let go of it and the EU can't afford to lose it. And he says that one side will be worst hit politically with a no deal. He doesn't really elaborate on that. Headley Smedley Ponsonby of Mercia says, "That day we found out we were leaving Europe," he's quoting us last week, "speak for yourself. As an English European, I'm only leaving the EU." What a tosser you are. You know exactly what we were saying and you know exactly where we were coming from. And you've got another moron like you who goes, Inda Cage, his name is, going, "Yeah, leaving Europe, clueless." Yeah, no, let me just explain. We're not leaving a landmass, no, but the perception will be that we're not part of Europe. If we do crash out with a no deal, we're not part of Europe in the sense we're not trading with them. Our passport doesn't give us free access and visitation rights to anyone for however long we want. We can't settle there, work there, no freedom of movement. And this is what happened in the 60s. We were blackballed from joining the EU by France, who perceived us to have a transatlantic inclination because we were trying to get the independent nuclear deterrent. So, try and do your homework if you start going on about this.
The poor men of Europe.
Yeah, England. Yeah. We will be seen as left Europe, even though the landmass won't move. Europe is not just... we can't just say we're Europeans when we've decided to turn our back on them. It doesn't matter where the landmass is. And 100 GMO 78. Good God, why don't just use your names, guys? At least the English and Welsh voted for it, unlike the Northern Irish and Scots. Got a point. Cold Breeze says, "Has that guy had a cable up his..." I don't know which one or what hell you're talking about, but here's where it really gets good. So Mick A says, "I love this, it's better than Corrie. I'm glad he likes us being battered by Brexiteers." Van Kloos Vanguard allows me to have a little conversation about this. The UK is not leaving Europe, it's leaving the political organisation known as European Union. Again, I've just addressed that, you utter clown. A few other points. I have never met a Brexiteer who wants to restore the empire or anything like it. They want to escape the never-ending responsibilities and guilt that many people, including almost all Remainers, seem to hang on to. Okay, responsibilities / integrity. If someone's actually providing you a service like the EU is, maybe you would not see that as a responsibility, maybe as a duty, but clearly you know best. And if you haven't met a Brexiteer that wants to restore the empire and start flag waving and going backwards in time, then you haven't been watching the news, you haven't been speaking to people, because believe me, you may think you're not the tosser that you are, but I know you are the one. You are completely in that vein. And I'll get to another point in a minute on this. He then goes on to say the world's economies do not have employment law, banking law and economic systems aligned. And okay, well they do, you moron, because when somebody changes the interest rate in this country on banking finances, we will only change it in line with another country. Otherwise, the money will be taken by the billionaires and the corporations out of our banks and put somewhere where they'll earn more money. So we've got we have got economic alignment, employment law. If you have better rights for a world-class chemist or physician or whoever in one country rather than another, they'll go and move there and work there. So yeah, you end up having to have very similar employment laws or you lose out. Banking laws is a very easy one. If we haven't got integrated and aligned banking laws, how come we had a world financial crisis in 2008, you complete buffoon? That's because Glass-Steagall was removed by Bill Clinton, who then made it a lot easier for banks to use all the depositors' money to gamble. So then Tony Blair had to do the same here. And then Europe did exactly the same. And very soon the entire world was gambling with everybody's money, and they blew the economy up. That couldn't have happened if the banking rights and banking systems were not aligned. And then there is he says, if there's no such thing as sovereignty, why are most countries not part of the EU and don't want any part of it? It's because they're not next to it. You imbecile. That's the whole point. You can sell something cheaper to someone next door. And if you get allowed to sell to them without a tariff and they sell it to you, it's the cheapest way of trading in the world. Trading with Australia, trading with Japan is far more expensive. Ask anybody who's ordered something online and it arrives and you get a customs bloody surcharge, which is the situation you'll be in if we don't have a deal with the EU. Commonplace things will start to get more expensive. And then he really caps it off with just basic insults. That's just the first 2 minutes of two blokes talking bollocks. The one thing this proves is that there are people as thick as shit on the Remainer side too. Even strongly rational, intelligent Remainers will be embarrassed by these two, because the thick morons were all supposed to be on the Brexit side. And then there's loads of people going, oh my God, they haven't got a clue. It's Remainer TV. There you go.
And that cheered me up. Can I have that last insult, please?
What, the thick morons?
Yeah.
Even strongly rational, intelligent Remainers will be embarrassed by these two, because the thick morons were all supposed to be on the Brexit side.
And don't forget, you can email the show. It's Mancunian Candidates at fabradiointernational.com if you want to add some insults to that, or just comment on the YouTube site itself.
Absolutely, but as a rebuttal to this, we've got a little video that'll explain, if you are actually thinking that we've got that there is a possibility of this Australia deal, we have explained that it doesn't exist.
And after that, hopefully, joining us from Alaska is Tom Anderson, hopefully. Depends on our producer's got it lined up and all that type of stuff. Let's play the video.
I heard that Boris Johnson's Australia deal, that means no deal, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. I mean, Australia does not have a trade agreement with the European Union, so that would very much mean no deal.
Well, it sounds...
one of the things I've tried to say all along here is that I've had my doubts about the sincerity of the UK government in wanting to negotiate an agreement, and I think the basic problem here is that despite the Prime Minister's comments about the EU rejecting a Canada-style trade agreement, the UK negotiators have been asking for more than that. They've still been asking to cherry-pick bits of the single market that they like, such as the community licence for hauliers to be able to drive around the European Union, which the EU flatly said no to.
Well, it sounds like a change in tactic, though, but realistically, we've always been preparing for a no-deal outcome, haven't we?
Well, I mean, at the level of UK PLC, maybe, but the problem for businesses, of course, has been that until you know what kind of trading arrangement, what kind of trade regime you're going to face, it's very difficult to make any preparations. A simple example being, will we face tariffs or won't we face tariffs? What kind of checks at the border will we face? Well, now that's become very much clearer. And frankly, at this stage of the game, there is very little difference economically between a deal or no deal, because a basic free trade agreement that would give you zero tariffs and zero quotas would still leave all the non-trade barriers intact by dint of leaving the single market. So you're still going to be facing checks at the border. We've been told this by the government. There'll be customs declarations needed, deal or no deal. There will be sanitary and phytosanitary checks on both sides of the border for animal and plant produce, deal or no deal. And of course, the knock-on effects and disruptions to supply chains that will entail, particularly now given COVID and the stricken nature of our manufacturing sector in such circumstances, could drive many firms out of business.
Indeed. In the meanwhile, the EU leaders, they say that they'll continue talking. So there's still plenty going on behind the scenes, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, it is possible. Of course, never say never. It is possible that in the middle of November something will be pulled out of a hat. But I think the chances of that are quite low, so long as the UK government holds out on things such as dynamic regulatory alignment, because Brexit economically only makes sense if you want to pursue a different set of regulations to the European Union. So whilst we still have that up in the air around the nature of labour regulations or environmental standards or agricultural standards, bear in mind, of course, the UK government refused to enshrine agricultural standards in law less, for example, that it wants to pursue a trade agreement with the United States, that would mean in lowering those standards. The two sides are still poles apart in that area. And then you have the totemic issue of fisheries, which the UK government doesn't want to appear to compromise on. And, of course, the vexing problem of state aid. Now, the EU are not going to compromise on their principles there. So unless the key issues around regulatory alignment and level playing field and state aid are resolved, there really isn't any scope for an agreement. The two sides in those key areas still seem poles apart.
Indeed, as you say, there's not much movement, is there? But could there be a trade-off then? Britain gets the fish and the EU gets the rules, all about the level playing fields. While the fish is a tiny part of the economy, sovereignty is key to many Brexiteers, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, the sovereignty is an illusion. There is no trade agreement anywhere in the world that doesn't involve some trade-off for sovereignty. Now, you can bleat about sovereignty all you like, but if you want to have a trade agreement with the United States, you're going to accept their agricultural standards, and you're going to accept the notion of American big pharmaceutical firms getting a crack at the NHS. Now, frankly, I doubt whether the British public would swallow that. But by dint of simply engaging in negotiations over trade, you have to come to a middle ground, and that, I'm afraid, is trading off sovereignty.
Do you think we will get a deal, Alex?
With the European Union?
Yes.
I think it's increasingly unlikely.
I like the fact he's having a conversation there for a few minutes, and then he go, oh, do you think we'll have a deal? And he goes, with the European Union? Well, it'd be strange if she was talking about something else after all that, wouldn't it?
Welcome back to Remainer TV.
Thank you for watching. I'm impressed. You've passed the IQ test and got this far, so let's press that button. Let's do the last thing that helps us. It's got subscribe on it, you can't miss it, and please ring the bell for notifications of future videos.